Good morning and welcome to the studio of Jay Reinert Architect here in Haddonfield, New Jersey. Today, I'm going to take you through a project that we recently did. I guess it finished probably about a year and a half ago in Mullica Hill, New Jersey. As you could see on the screen, this project was to convert a home that is a typical 90s development home in South Jersey and to make it something that is really special for the clients, meets kind of the way their family lives and the way they want to entertain. Um, so this is the house, a typical stucco, has some leaking problems around the door, has some coins on the corners, circle top windows, very typical of what we see in South Jersey neighborhoods. So this is the front of the house. Here we have the back of the house. This space here is the family room space in the current, the existing conditions. This is a two-story space that is really a waste of an experience, actually. It's just high. There's no reason for it. It doesn't feel right. To the right over here, we end up having a dining space. And then behind that, the kitchen. And the kitchen's blocked off by a half wall. Um, the client did do a beautiful patio outside the space, which we were able to work with. So the goal of this project was to create a super living space that flows with the kitchen, feels really comfortable, more on the minimalist side, and has a great connection to the yard. So this is the finished project. This is called a twilight shot or a dusk shot. You can see how the space has been completely changed. So let me take you through what we did and, try to explain that a little better. Here's a picture of our project from the same view. This space here is the space that used to be the dining room, and now behind this, as you'll see, is the living space. And in this two-story space, instead of making it the living space, we created the kitchen and dining area, which then flows out to the lawn, which is covered by these shed roofed structures that are open with an open clear story to allow air to flow. So when you're in a pavilion, like in a park setting, in the summertime, the heat can really build up under those spaces. So taking that into consideration, we decided that we would open the space above to allow air to flow through, but still provide for sun protection. This faces pretty much south. During the summertime, the patio they found was not usable. So by creating the lanai, it really has changed the use of the space. You can see the rain chains coming down off the gutter into the flower pots, then out into a drainage system. You can see we created this new step feature that goes up into the family room space. Out here we have a fire pit and grilling. Also on here, I'll show that we made very intentional decisions about what to change and what not to change. The idea was to have this really refined contemporary structure that grew into what was a very typical neighborhood community home in an affluent neighborhood in South Jersey. And having those two things grow, together, but maintaining their own identity in order to strengthen the concept of having these things come together. When you come through the front door, so here's that same space. Here we created a staircase that floats, trim that draws scale to this two-story space. We put below it a basement stair that is open and goes down to what will be a finished basement. Now there's like a vestibule down there or a lobby that this goes down into, which is finished. The glass handrail, the continuous line for the stringer, the way the wood treads go into the wall, without a stringer. They come floating out of the wall. This just really kind of met the client's feeling about minimalism and contemporary life. And, it's crazy when you think about it. The house that they had purchased and lived in for quite a few years just did not meet their personalities and the way that they, really wanted to live. I'll show you more about this tile on the fireplace in just a bit. This is the view that we have now of that space. Riserless stairs, so the air's flowing and the light comes through. I love the way that the shadows and light work on the walls. Again, the trim gives us scale and holds down the first floor from the second floor. We can see the rail as it goes around and then down the stairs. There's a space that can be used to view down into the basement area, which is a lobby. Again, it's not a finished basement at this point, so we have a finished lobby down there. By doing this, most staircases are one over the other. It's a very efficient way to do it. And most basements, including the way this house was done, have a wall that encloses with a door at the top of the stair, and then risers are solid and tread, so that becomes just an accessory or utility way to get to the basement. We relocated the basement stair in this case and made this basement lobby and open staircase concept. You can see also looking through now, we have, as the termination of this initial view, a sitting area for the family room, and then out to this incredible yard that's hundreds of yards deep in the back across the patio. To our right here is the powder room door. To the left over here is our exercise room. And to the right, close to us, is a study and music room with a piano. This is the same view, that kind of from the same place, standing in the same place. Here we have our original door and the original circle top window, which is very classic 1990s developer house. As you can see, we modified and changed this foyer space so that it just flows and lets light go through. Again, I love the way the shadows come through these open risers. The glass rail just makes things disappear, yet recalling the wood floors, which are just incredible floors from Vermont wide plank flooring that match. I said I was going to tell you about this tile. This is lava cut and honed to be this great tiled stone facade for this wall. And I love the layout and the texture of the tile. It's almost set in a ledge stone type of way, which is very kind of typical lick and stick tile that we see on a lot of houses today. And this is just such a refined version of that pattern. I think it's great. This was a client selection that just really made the project sing. So here's, if we're standing in that foyer and we just walked in, our kitchen and that dining space. The only door to the exterior is in the rear, is this door here. So to get to the new patio that they had installed, you would just go in and out this door. Again, the circle top window, Palladian window, typical of the 1990s development home. Same thing with the cabinetry, as far as the dark cherry. This peninsula was a place that they did spend time on. You can see these columns over here. These columns, one of them was structural, and I will show you more on that in a future picture. This is that dining space, and you can see here how our client is starting these small plants. We'll move them into bigger pots and outside and inside during the summertime. Here you can see kind of the yard we were having to work with, and the vegetation is just absolutely beautiful. Here are the columns I was speaking about. This one here is structural, the others are ornamental, and they separate the kitchen space from the living space. And you can start to see how these circular windows in the transoms and things are coming into play. The fireplace at the end, no great way to set this room up. Here is the staircase going down to the basement, which we relocated under the new stair. This staircase also has a staircase up to the second floor, a back stair that goes up to the second floor from the family room here. Here's a shot from pretty much that same space, same location. We opened up the wall, kept the columns that were required structurally, and the concept became this grid of structure, these contemporary columns that replaced this very colonial stylistic column that was original from the house. So playing off of some of the motifs that they had, but just doing it in a completely different way. So this grid of structure starts at the exterior on the pergola structure and works its way straight in the kitchen and then across into the family room space. You can see here in the family room space, we chose to put the family room in the single story height space. When you're sitting and the ceiling comes down some, it just makes for a much simpler, more comfortable space than when you have a 2-story space above you in a space where you're supposed to be sitting. You expect to be sitting. So you can see here the yard is just spectacular. It goes all the way out. The neighborhood continues around the street way, way back. Like I said, we have a couple hundred yards of green space behind this house. Here's that same picture. This is the wall that those cascading windows were on. We brought the same amount of light in with a high efficiency window that blocks unwanted heat and also fading characteristics of the sun. Highly insulated so that the hot, warm air doesn't go out. So here again is this structure that we created that comes in from the outside, works its way into the kitchen space here. We used it to define the dining room and the dining area, as well as the cooking space in the kitchen. This is that back staircase that I was talking about that we removed in order to provide more space in this big volume to create the kitchen and the eating area. So this stair went up to a balcony and then on the hallway, second floor hallway. By removing that, we were able to create this kitchen and eating area. And this wall for the range was right along where the staircase is. And behind it, we have a pantry and a laundry room as well. So I'm showing you this picture, which is the primary bath. And it's the only picture I'm going to show on the second floor. And the reason I'm showing it is because of the windows in the second story. This is where the cascading window was in the original plan, and or higher clear stories on this design. You can see the floating clouds, lights, and this gives the primary bath just a fantastic view in the morning when the sun is out in the back and it's just lighting the space. It's really special. It's one of the favorite features for the client. And this glass is, separates the kitchen and this gigantic volume from the primary bath. And I'll tell you more about this glass in a couple slides. So here's that kitchen again, looking back into the family room, the stair going up where we relocated the staircase, removed that back stair that went from here up to this balcony you can see that we've created. It's now an overlook that allows this volume to be experienced from the second height. And here's that glass that is for the primary bath. And in its present state here, this is frosted. This is switchable glass. You push a button and it goes from clear to frosted. It's magic. And, when somebody's standing here on this balcony, that way they can't see the shower. So here's the new hallway. We go down the stair. It used to be at the back here. Now we've created this area, balcony, to stand and be able to look down into the space below. This is the view that was from the original balcony, cascading windows. And this is the view from our balcony looking down into that volume, into the kitchen and dining room. And you can see how nothing here is acting alone or demanding attention in itself. The cloud lights float in this volume, upper part of the volume, above the columns, or excuse me, the beams, occupying that space and just giving it a great sense of 3-dimension, with the ceilings being the same as the floors, the transoms working across the top, allowing sky view. And again, how nothing here is demanding attention or trying to be special. Here you can see the balcony and the hall. You can see the grid that we used, the structural grid, to divide up the spaces. So even though it's an open plan, we still utilized this grid to organize everything within the spaces. So it just works really well with this circulation spine back to the art and science room in the back there. The sky windows, the transoms, the frosted glass for the primary suite. Back here on the right, these doors open, and that's a walk-in pantry. The walk-in pantry is a great place where we can put things like toaster ovens and microwaves on the countertop and mixers and things like that, so that it doesn't affect the main space in the kitchen and countertops and usability of the room. When kitchens become this much part of the house, we really try to eliminate that with a working pantry or a back kitchen. Great table selected by the owner and chairs. Another nice story about this is we have plants on this bay area for the picture. The client often sits up here looking out, reading a book, and I would have loved to gotten a picture of that. This door is the garage entry door. Come in, the laundry is to the left here, and a mudroom space to the right. This is a picture. I mean, the view of this yard is just phenomenal. This, a sitting area that's just as simple with swivel chairs to turn and just enjoy the backyard. Here's another picture of the doors that I was talking about. Here we have a screen that's open. You can tell by the divider down the center. When the screen's closed and the door's closed, this is one big piece of glass. And you'll see more of that. I'll show you on the outside. This is the patio that the client had done several years before the project. And we really were able to work with it. We put the lanai over most of it and created a sunning space patio over here. The only thing we had to do really was square off 45-degree angle corner back on this side and create stairs to our family room here. So these stairs were added to this patio. We squared off that corner. You can see the sawtooth roof and the openness that allows the air to just flow out of there. The fans can encourage that. It's just helps maintain the temperature of underneath the pergola. Planter engaging the architecture with the yard, a fire pit and cooking. Here it is in the evening, the lanai gathering space, and you can see best here what I was talking about with this door. Here we have one almost 8 foot by 8 foot center picture panel and two approximately 40-inch wide, 42-inch wide sliding doors. They'll come together, and then that allows for circulation around the table. It's a great solution for conditions like this compared to when doors go in and out the center, and then it's a difficult time getting around the table. So both of these doors are set up with that situation, and the sky windows, clear story above. Oh, another thing I love about this picture is how our structural grid that we use to organize all of the volume and space in the house. You can see here before we talked about it in the reflection of the glass. Here you can see how it goes through and organizes the volume of the kitchen dining and then extends into the family room. Here's the back of the house with the cascading window. It's iconic. You would see this in a lot of magazines during that time. Palladium window over here. And it's more about image than it is about how it interacts and lights the space and engages the the occupant with the inside and outside, the way we try so hard to do with our design. And so here is that picture slider with both doors open and screens open, and you can just flow around that space, around the kitchen table, or very easily. Here we have the clear story up in the sawtooth roof, just letting light go straight in and air to circulate through the space. Back from the back of the yard, we can see how that just all comes together, and the patio and the lanai, the existing windows in the existing house versus the ones we replaced. So we'll end with this exterior of the front, because phase two, we're reorganizing and trying to solve some problems with the front elevation. So here we're going to be creating some protection for this front door with overhangs and a different siding material and window selections. I'm so thankful that the client entertained my idea to really want to keep the concept of the new contemporary grid structure growing in and attaching itself to this very typical developer home.